Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on some pretty big storms that are going to be moving their way through the United States today. We have two sides of things. We have the tropics here. We're dealing with our homebrew system, tropical storm Ophelia, all right? Ophelia is actually getting pretty close to being a hurricane. So if we get a hurricane out of this, it's going to be something pretty major. But this is pretty much going to be Ophelia's strongest time right now. You can see she's got maximum sustained winds at around 70 miles an hour, which is about 4 miles an hour shy of a Category 1 hurricane. All right. And this is the latest 7:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update, which was just half an hour ago. So we could actually have a hurricane on our hands right now. So this is a very dangerous situation, as this will be plowing right up the coast of the eastern U.S. Behind all this, we do have Invest 90L, which has a high 70% chance of developing throughout the next 48 hours and a high 90% chance of developing throughout the next 7 days. We're not going to talk much about this one. I'm probably going to talk about this tomorrow if I can get an update in for you guys, because I don't expect this to really be a threat towards the United States. So you folks out in the Caribbean, you guys got to watch out for this a little bit, but I think it's just going to go out to sea. But we're still gonna have to watch for that in future updates here. So again, looking at Ophelia, it's moving north. She's moving northwestward around 12 miles an hour with a central pressure of around 984 millibars. All right, so we're gonna be moving on to our satellite loop here. And you can see that, I know this thing's glitching out a little bit, but you can see that the big area of circulation is right in here. And believe it or not, starting to see some of those, conditions. They're looking pretty right for a hurricane because we're seeing that circulation and all that convection is trying to wrap itself over. And I think that Ophelia does not have enough steam to do this because it's already pretty much halfway onto land here, impacting parts of extreme eastern South Carolina and then the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But we are getting some pretty nice rotation right around here with the center of the storm. I don't know why I made that red. But yeah, you could definitely note that this is this is a strengthening storm. You could even say it's rapidly intensifying because this was just a tropical storm a few hours ago, and now this is a very strong tropical storm, almost a hurricane here. And notice all this convection that's popping off here. These are a lot of thunderstorms that are starting to build up here, stretching all the way from North Carolina and down towards southern Virginia, all the way down here where we still have a lot of convection and those high cloud tops building up in the atmosphere. So it's a lot going on here with Ophelia, and I really think Ophelia is doing pretty well, but I don't think that's going to last very, very long. So we'll move over to the National Hurricane Center here for our current path. All right, so in this orange shade here, these are where our tropical storm force conditions or winds, you could say, are. You can see all the Outer Banks of North Carolina included in this. And also note that they have issued a hurricane watch for the southern Outer Banks of North Carolina here. In this pink here, if I zoom in here, you can see in this pink, we do have a hurricane watch. That is for those areas that could receive hurricane conditions, and you get the equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane. But we're expecting this to move up into North Carolina. You can see this as a tropical storm. But by Saturday, we're getting into 2 p.m. tomorrow, and we're back down to a weak tropical storm. And then from Sunday all the way up until around middle of the night, Sunday going into Monday, we have a tropical depression. I think you're still gonna have a tropical depression for you folks out here in the southern New England area here. But for now, our cone of certainty is right in this area here. So just because you're outside of the cone does not mean that you are outside of these impacts. We are going to get inches of rain out here in southern New England. You're going to get some very gusty winds out there. So you're still going to get some pretty major impacts from the system, even though you're not in the cone that's currently posted right now. I mean, note that this cone also goes out only like 2.5 days, 3 days, pretty much. So it's not that large. That it doesn't go out that far. And so this thing could still be potentially even a tropical storm, maybe even a weak tropical storm as it enters southern New England. But for now, we're just expecting this to become to get downgraded to a tropical depression, and then it'll impact you guys in southern New England. But you have tropical storm warnings going all the way up from the Outer Banks of North Carolina towards the Virginia coastline, all the way up here in the intercoastal regions of Maryland, the Delmarva region in general here. All in this blue is where we have tropical storm warnings. That's for those areas here in these lakes here and these rivers where you have. You also, I believe, you have some storm surge watches and warnings out for this area as well. So I mean, I think you guys are definitely going to get some pretty intense impacts if you're tucked away here in the intercoastal regions of the Delmarva region. All right, so we look at now our rainfall totals. Okay, this has dropped. I would say this has dropped a considerable amount for people farther north. Other than that, people farther south, it's been ticking farther southwest, which is kind of weird. All right, we were thinking that we were going to get a lot more rain here on the farther, like pushing out towards the east of these Outer Banks of North Carolina, but really these southern coastal regions of North Carolina in areas near Wilmington, we'll see the worst of the rainfall here. So we're expecting in this orange 6 to 10 inches of rain to fall right pretty much on the northern side or anywhere from the northern, southern, or eastern side of Wilmington in North Carolina. You could get 6 to 10 inches of rain. You are certainly going to get flash flooding. And since you guys are right on the coast, you're certainly gonna get coastal flooding. Okay, so really, I'm very concerned, especially for this area along the coast that's shaded in this orange and in this yellow. All right, you guys are going to receive very strong winds, some big storm surge, and big flooding. All right, that's all going to happen, and it's pretty much ongoing right now. We go up towards Hatteras. You guys at around 2 to 4 inches of rain. All right, that goes all the way up towards Virginia. Now, North Fork and Richmond all in a 4 to 6 inch kind of region here. I think you guys could receive a little bit more rainfall if this kind of it moves farther west. All right, so let's say all this rainfall shifted farther west. That dark green shifted towards this area here. You guys would get a lot more rain, maybe even some oranges popping up there, marking 6 to 10 inches. But I think it's pretty late for that now. All right, excuse me. We go up towards the Delmarva area, Washington, D.C. You guys around 2 to 4 inches of rain. I wouldn't expect some huge impacts for you guys. Gusty winds for sure. I don't know if you're under a tropical storm warning. I'm not sure, but you are definitely going to get some pretty big impacts, especially on that southern side near these rivers and lakes. Forgot what river lake or I don't know body of water is out here exactly. But if you're on the coast near Washington D.C. here, when you're tucked away here in the Virginia coastline, the Delmarva area, and that border, you gotta watch out for coastal flooding. All right, we go up towards Salisbury and Philadelphia. All right, we're expecting 2 to 4 inches, maybe some locally higher amounts possible, but that's pretty much it. Down towards the southern coastal New Jersey, Tom's River, Jersey City. Yeah, just sees a lot of these cities out here on the southern coast of New Jersey. I would expect 4 to 6 inches, so with also some locally higher amounts possible. All right, so this 2 to 4 inch range of rainfall goes all the way up towards Long Island. All of you guys in Long Island are included in that rainfall total region here. All right, parts of northwestern, to be specific, New Jersey, you guys are cut a little bit into just the inch and a half, or the inch and 2 inch kind of area here, and then we go down towards Connecticut. This is pretty much for you guys in southern New England. If you're farther south, I would say you should expect some more rain. I would really think for you guys in southern New England, New Jersey, Long Island, southern Connecticut, southern Rhode Island, near the Nantucket area, southern Cape Cod, just southern Massachusetts coastline, you could expect 2 to 4 inches with some locally higher amounts possible. All right. But yeah, you're certainly going to get some very intense rainfall all the way towards Hartford, Connecticut, New York City, and Nantucket, Massachusetts, even when the storm isn't even a tropical storm anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what the storm does for you guys. So we look at now our flooding risk here. So we have a moderate risk for flash flooding, which is an at least 40% chance of flash flooding within 25 miles of a given point here. So this is including, I would say, pretty much Hatteras and Wilmington in this red risk here. All right, that is a very it's very dangerous when you see this on the latest National Hurricane Center outlook. But you can see that all the way up and down in this yellow here, you can see we have a slight 15% risk of flash flooding. But also notice that Richmond, Virginia, right here in central Virginia, I would say just south of the mountainous regions of Virginia, you have another moderate risk. That's where Ophelia is going to move on as it makes landfall. It's going to bring its second push of tropical downpours. All right, that's going to be something you're going to have to watch. But this is also something that's weird. You notice how we had some smaller rainfall totals out here in southern New York State, uh, northwestern New Jersey. Well, we actually do have a slight risk, including you guys, and this is shifted farther west, so it's kind of still back and forth here between the rainfall totals as far as that goes. But all Long Island is still included in that slight 15% risk. But Hartford, Connecticut, New York City, Philadelphia, Wilkes-Barre, or Wilkes-Barre, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, in Pennsylvania, near the, I guess this would be near the Scranton area, I'm not sure, but you guys all have a slight 15% risk of flash flooding, all right? So through Saturday morning, you're getting into tomorrow morning, you have a slight risk for the eastern areas of North Carolina, also including the Outer Banks. You have a moderate risk. Surrounding areas, you have a marginal risk. All right, through Sunday morning, we have a slight risk extending all the way towards Long Island with a moderate risk only for southern Virginia. All right, and then we have another slight risk for Monday morning, including parts of southern New England, and then a marginal risk surrounding that. So we move on to our peak storm surge forecast here. All right, so you can see that we're expecting some pretty big storm surge going all the way down from the South Santee River in South Carolina, all the way up towards Manasquan Inlet, Manasquan Squayan Inlet. I really do not know how to pronounce that, but anyways. You guys, in this blue here, if you're near the shaded blues, this is the DC area right here near where the upper Chesapeake Bay area is. You guys could expect 1 to 3 foot storm surge, but if you go farther south, down towards the lower Potomac River, lower Chesapeake Bay, 2 to 4 inches starting to pop up there. Chincoteague, I don't know if I'm saying that right. All right, up to 6 feet of storm surge. That's your current forecast here, but we go down all the way towards southern Maryland, down to this point here. Now you have Albemarle, 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 Album. I I apologize, guys. I really am having a tough time pronouncing these names. Albemarle. I think that's the gist of it. Sound. You guys are at around 2 to 4 feet of storm surge, locally higher amounts, maybe up to 6 feet. Just for those beaches out there, you really got to make sure that you're ready for these dangerous impacts. But this is where things get a little scarier. The Pamlico and Pungo rivers, 4 to 6 feet of storm surge with maybe 7 to 8 foot storm surge. That's when we get life-threatening storm surge if this isn't already. So this is really going to be a dangerous thing, especially for these really far out, these Outer Banks, North Carolina, all the way up down towards Surf City, you have a 2 to 4 foot storm surge outlook with higher amounts likely. All right, the Neuse and Bay rivers 4 to 6 feet as well. All right, so for that blue area, this goes all the way up towards the Delaware Bay, surrounding southern New Jersey. You have a 1 to 3 foot storm surge outlook towards eastern Delaware coastline. Again, you have 1 up to 3 foot storm surge there. All right, and so that's going to be pretty much it for Ophelia, because Ophelia is definitely going to be losing steam. I'm just going to be showing you guys the NAM3 cam model here for Ophelia. Excuse me, we're going to zoom in here and look at what Ophelia is going to be looking like on terms of future radar here. But you can see Ophelia is strengthening to a 9. Let's see, I would say this would be around a 985 millibar tropical storm here. The NAM is under strengthening this, but that's okay because we already know how strong it is now. It's ongoing. But just to figure out kind of exactly what's going to happen, you can see a lot of these rain bands, really intense rainfall moving its way into the coastal regions of North Carolina, now spreading towards southern Maryland, southern coastline of Virginia, and you're starting to see that center of the storm right here, 988 millibars, starting to enter North Carolina, and even southern North Carolina, maybe down to South Carolina. You could really get some intense rainfall because those rain bands are circulating around the storm. And so in areas closer to the borderline, but also across the coast of South Carolina, you could get some pretty intense rainfall from this as well. So don't count yourself out. But you'd think out here in southern New England that the storm is just making landfall. This is, you're waking up 4 a.m. tomorrow and you're thinking, all right, so the storm is starting to make landfall on North Carolina. We're next, but this is going to be happening tomorrow. Well, here you go. You're waking up 5 a.m. I don't think any of you are waking up 5 a.m., but you guys waking up at around 8 a.m. and you have torrential downpours moving their way through New Jersey, parts of southern PA, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island. This is going to be a very, very intense amount of rain, and it's going to be moving very, very slowly and away from Ophelia. And then that's when that second band of rainfall comes in, and that's going to be potentially even harder. So you're going to get two very, very intense rain bands here from Ophelia, and I'm afraid these are going to be dumping inches of rain across the region, raising flash flooding concerns, because both Sunday and Saturday are going to get a taste of this medicine here, and I think both rain bands are going to deliver at least an inch of rain. Maybe some areas could get, again, maybe up to 4, maybe even 5 inches of rain. All right. I think 5 is a little over the top, so I would expect 3 to 4 for those highest amounts. 1 to 2 is expected. That's what's expected. But we go all the way towards. We're getting into Sunday. This is 4 p.m. Sunday around dinner time, and that's when you start getting a lot of heavy rain moving its way across parts of Massachusetts, southern and central New York State, just southwest or southeast, I should say, of the Finger Lakes region. And Ophelia is pretty much done after that, other than the rainfall. So you're still going to get some lingering showers and thunderstorms for you guys in southern New England pretty much after you go to bed on Sunday, and then maybe even to Monday you could be waking up to a few rain showers. But that's pretty much it for that. So look at the current wind speeds here. These are our wind speeds according to the NAM3 CAM model. All right. So we see these tiny pockets of blue here. Those are those rain bands, or excuse me, those wind lines that are a little bit stronger here. And you can see it's pretty much an eye wall here because we might have a hurricane on our hands again. So this could be considered an eye wall here. So you really got to make sure you're paying attention to how strong these winds will be. But all of the Outer Banks of North Carolina are included in. These are just wind speeds at around 50 miles an hour. All right, but these purples here indicate around winds at around 60 knots, which would be around 70 miles an hour. So hurricane force winds could be on the southern side of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. All right, and then this red here, you see these are wind gusts that are reaching 55 miles an hour, sustained winds that are around 40. All right, and this goes all the way up towards the Delmarva area, just the east coast of the Delmarva area, up towards New Jersey. Again, this is a East Coast storm here. This is going all the way from South Carolina all the way up towards southern New England. It's a very big area. All right, but this thing makes landfall, and you're starting to see even some stronger winds moving its way into central North Carolina, maybe gusts up to 40, 50 miles an hour. But man, this is going to be chugging along here. And really, I would say if you're on the coast of any place out here on the map, anywhere in North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and you could definitely get some very intense tropical storm force conditions. And then for you folks out there on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, especially the southern side, you could get hurricane force winds, raising concerns very, very high. All right, but those winds do not die down, especially along the coast, up until pretty much the middle of the night tomorrow, going into Saturday. It's going into Sunday, and then we finally see those winds dying down. But then the Northeast is up next, southern New England, I should say. All right, and we go back to the NAM3 model, but now for the Northeast. All right, we look at what's going to be going on for you guys with these winds. All right, notice how there is this rain band that's going to be. This is going to be this rain band. It's going to be associated with a line of wind. This is going to be a very intense line of wind that's going to be kind of bowing out like this, and it's going to be moving up north. All right, once this kind of moves into the coastline, it's going to obviously die down. But you see here, right here, these reds here, these are tropical storm force winds. These are sustained winds at around 40 miles an hour with gusts likely to 50 to 60 miles an hour. You could get the same kind of winds as the North Carolina coastline potentially and the Virginia coastline if you're on the southern New Jersey coastline all the way up to maybe the Toms River area. I might be over exaggerating this, but I really do think that these winds, I have full confidence that these winds, as far north as Long Island, New York City, they could be very, very strong. And we see these winds enter both the northern Long Island Sound, separating Long Island and Connecticut, just this body of water in between, but also on the south shore of Long Island, both receiving wind gusts up to 40, maybe 50 miles an hour with sustained winds at around 30 miles an hour, okay? It's going to be a pretty intense storm for everybody. Strong winds even reaching up towards Nantucket. Sustained winds at around 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusts up to 40, 45. It's going to be a pretty dangerous storm for everyone. And those winds, by the way, on the south shore of Long Island, they'll continue all the way up until after the storm, the center of the storm gets to you guys. So these winds could be at least 15, 20 miles an hour sustained for a few days straight. So it's going to be a very long event. And I'm afraid that this one's going to be something that could cause power outages, especially for the southeast, the Carolina coastline up towards Virginia, Delmarva. But I really do think southern New England, those winds could be strong enough to cause power outages. All right? So now we are done with Ophelia. We'll switch things back to the mainland of the United States here, looking at our severe weather outlook. We do have a severe weather event that we could be calling an outbreak pretty soon that I've been talking about in the past few days here. We see now an enhanced risk up for parts of the central U.S. I was saying yesterday how we had this big area of a slight risk, and I was expecting an enhanced risk somewhere in here. Well, here you go. All right. So starting off with our level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe weather. This goes all the way up towards southeastern North Dakota, down towards eastern South Dakota, including out Aberdeen. Sioux Falls, you guys are actually in that slight risk, so I would think you guys could get a little bit of a higher chance of severe weather. But this marginal risk goes down towards eastern Nebraska, down towards Kansas, including Wichita, all right, and then that goes into Oklahoma, all right, and then all the way down towards central Texas. All right. Then we go to our slight risk. This is our level 2 out of 5 risk. Let me move myself up so you can see. This is what we have going on right here. This is your key. All right. This is a big area. This is a big area of concern going all the way down from southwestern Minnesota, including Minneapolis. Well, I guess you guys are in that marginal risk. But this goes down towards parts of central and western Iowa, including Des Moines, Omaha, Kansas City, Topeka, Kansas. This includes Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, and Springfield, uh, Springfield, Missouri. All right, and then this goes all the way down towards Oklahoma City, where I think you could have a pretty high tornado threat, and that introduces us to our enhanced risk. This is our level 3 out of 5 that I was warning you guys about yesterday. Well, here it is, but it's showing up in southwestern Kansas. All right, this is including also parts of extreme western. Extreme western Missouri, and then this goes down towards northeastern Oklahoma, including Tulsa. So I think you guys in Tulsa, that area in general, you gotta watch out for some very intense to likely severe storms that are gonna roll through your area tomorrow. Looks like this was actually yes tomorrow afternoon. Actually, this would be out for tomorrow afternoon, starting at around 12:25 Central Daylight Time, up until about 7 a.m. on Sunday Central Daylight Time. So we got a tornado threat for tomorrow. Got a 5% risk farther north. All right. So maybe there will be a slightly elevated tornado threat, I think, down here by Tulsa and Oklahoma City. But the main threat marked by the national the is the Storm Prediction Center. You have a 5 to 9% risk of tornadoes, including parts of western and northern Iowa that goes up to southwestern Minnesota. This includes Des Moines, Sioux Falls. You guys are right on this brink, right on the brink of hitting this 5% risk. But this goes right into some counties out here in very extreme eastern South Dakota. All right. And then that 2 to 4% risk is just for that surrounding area. I think it's identical to that slight risk. So just count yourself in if you're in that slight risk. Count yourself in for that 2 to 4 risk for tornadoes. All right, so we go to our severe wind outlook. This is our damaging wind gust outlook here. 30 to 44% chance of damaging winds, including that enhanced risk. So, I mean, I would say if you guys are in Tulsa, I mean, you could have wind gusts. I mean, here you can see you could have in a hatched area, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna get tomorrow, at least tomorrow. You have at least a 10% probability of significant wind gusts, up to 74 miles an hour, maybe even higher, for that given location here. And so we see in this 30 to 44% chance of seeing damaging wind gusts, that means that you already have a 30% risk for seeing winds up to about anywhere from 60 up to maybe even 80 miles an hour. So you could get hurricane force wind gusts because of this storm here. And we also have a 15 to 29% risk of damaging wind gusts, including that same area of that slight risk. And I would say major cities like Springfield, Missouri, Kansas City, Topeka, Kansas. All of you guys could be up near a 25% risk to a 29% risk of seeing damaging wind gusts. And then again, you have that slight risk that's marked here inside that 15 to 29% risk. And then outside of all of this, in that marginal risk for severe weather, the same area is included in a 5 to 14% chance of seeing damaging wind gusts. So we look at the hail outlook. All right. This is something we're going to have to watch. I think we're going to probably see a 30 to 44% chance here, but we are up to a 15 to 29% chance of seeing severe hail, but we also do have a huge area in a hatch risk going all the way up towards western Iowa, including Omaha, Nebraska. This goes down towards northwestern Missouri, including Kansas City, Topeka, Kansas, not quite Wichita, but you guys could be included in this tomorrow. But you got Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City, all in that hatch risk, which is a 10% probability, at least 10% probability of significant hail, meaning that you could get 2 inch hail in diameter. All right, and then that same area in that marginal risk is covered in a 5 to 14% chance of seeing severe hail. So we look at this is going to be our NAM 3cam model here just for the central U.S. So we look at what we could expect from these storms here. Where are the areas that are going to be hit the hardest here? So you can see we got some pretty intense storms firing across uh, parts of this is northwestern Nebraska, parts of southern South Dakota, but not much action happening yet. But you're seeing these storms moving farther south, and here comes your low pressure center right here. This is your southern low pressure center that's going to be helping for northern one with controlling the system. And boom, right here you get some pretty explosive storms firing across northwestern uh, Iowa and parts of western Nebraska, but the big show is not even close to happening yet. We really don't have pretty much anything out here in the southern U.S. where our enhanced risk is. So we could most likely see a stronger overnight risk for damaging wind gusts, tornadoes, and large hail for you guys out in the central plains here. So let's see how long it takes until we get those storms, those explosive storms, to fire across the region. We get all the way to we're getting into late Saturday. We're really pushing past Saturday here. And finally, we get a line of storms starting to stretch down into parts of western Missouri. I think that's going to be a damaging wind gust producer. So if you're looking for a damaging wind gust storm, well, here it is right here. Where's it going to be? The first initial one for you guys out in the deep south, like the southern south central U.S., probably in western Missouri. This is going to be stretching down from the central parts of Missouri down towards maybe even the boot heel of Missouri. But after that, it's going to help develop some more storms here, and the environment becomes favorable for storms right around midnight. We're getting into early Sunday. We're getting from Saturday to Sunday. Here you go. You got some pretty strong storms. These are going to be severe storms, I'm pretty sure, stretching from southwestern Missouri down towards southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and then you're just going to get some more and more intense rounds of storms build off of that, and that's how you get those damaging wind gusts, those tornadoes, and those large hail. And maybe a damaging wind gust line could form briefly as this segment of storms moves down into parts of northern Arkansas, and then also parts of southeastern Oklahoma. So you got to watch out for pretty much any pop up storms that could turn severe. But after that, by Sunday, the severe chance, the strong to severe storms chance has died down by afternoon. So for the last part of the update, we're just going to switch things back to the north central U.S. Taking a look at what the NAM 3K model is saying for you guys, and I think we're going to have some pretty explosive storms for you guys as well. Because remember, you're in a slight risk as well. And here we already, right off the bat, you see some pretty intense storms going down from the Dakotas into parts of Minnesota. These are our supercells right here. These are discrete cells right here, and these could be tornado warned, a few of them. All right, and this could be happening as early as this is just pretty much happening right now. We could have tornado warned storms as I speak right now, and this will likely carry on through the night into tomorrow. We still have some more supercells trying to get going here, starting to rotate. And man, we get a pretty nice setup here. For looks like this will be large hail and tornadoes out across the Midwest, and we get a damaging wind gust line starting to form right here across the North Plateau of Nebraska and the Dakotas here. And man, we really get some pretty big storms here, and I think that the tornado warning storms, that the tornado threat will start to die down as we get into around the 3 a.m., 4 a.m. time frame, getting into tomorrow. But then that damaging wind gust line starts to come in pretty much as you're waking up 9 a.m. to 10, 11 a.m. Tomorrow. And then for the rest of the storm, we get some very explosive, strong, these are going to be severe storms going all the way down from southern Minnesota up towards this is up towards Iowa, and then also parts of Missouri. I would give you guys an enhanced risk, to be honest, out here for southern Minnesota. So excuse me, do not be surprised if you get an enhanced risk tomorrow from the SPC, because I really do think that these storms will be severe. I think they will be explosive, and they're going to be lasting for a very long time. You're going to get 3 different segments from the storm. I think the tornado warning storms are going to be lingering up here in Minnesota, down towards northern Iowa. All right, these storms, I think they're going to be pretty large hail makers, some tornadoes. So pretty much a mix of everything out here for central Iowa, and then down here in Mississippi, southeastern Kansas, and then parts of northwestern Oklahoma, damaging wind gusts. That's going to be kind of the gist of everything going on here. That's going to be those are going to be the main threats for the day. We're getting into Sunday, and the storm's starting to weaken here, and we're starting to see those stronger storms down south move off from the storm, and it's going to try and re-strengthen as it recycles here. It starts, it takes that counterclockwise spin once again, and then pretty much we're just gonna have to wait until we get some more model run guidance here to see what could happen in the far future. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video. So you just got to make sure that you're staying safe as best as possible, staying prepared ahead of the severe weather and obviously tropical storm, which could be Hurricane Ophelia as it moves into your region. So don't be scared. Be prepared. If you encounter flooded roads, turn around. Don't drown. Just make sure that you are definitely listening to your local NOAA weather radio stations if you are caught in a severe thunderstorm or a intense rain band from a tropical storm. All right, so just make sure that you are staying as safe as possible and as prepared as possible when these weather events strike. So again, thank you so much for coming to watch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.